Okay, Hawks, it's time for our first unit test. This will be a mid-unit test over everything we've covered so far, and we reviewed today Thursday, September the 2nd in class. So these are the answers to the review, and I guess the main point of this video, although I have the problems all worked out, I want to give a few helpful hints, maybe let you know some things that you might look forward to on the test, but basically just to give you answers so that you can check through your paper and make sure you have your answers correct. I'll stay on each page, try to stay on each page for about a minute or so, again kind of giving some pointers and some helpers, so you may have to run through the video a couple times to look at the different problems, or you can pause it. You can always turn the volume off if you don't necessarily need to hear the commentary, if you want to just see the answers. It is important that you know how to solve and translate and potentially graph depending on what kind of problem it is. So basically this first page started out with a big mixture of translating and solving. On the test, you'll be happy to know that there is a separation. The translating and solving for equations and inequalities is separated, so that will help you out a little bit. But there's key words you need to be looking for. For example, on number 1, the word is, in this case, is meaning equals because it says negative 19 is the sum of, versus this problem right here, after you take a number and you decrease it by 25, it says is greater than or equal to. So you know that you've got a different symbol in there. And of course, with the inequalities, you also always need to make sure that you do your graph. So looking at this page, number 8 and number 9 were an omit. So down here, number 8 you didn't have to do. We accidentally snuck in a two-step equation. On this one, it didn't mean to. Let's see. Important things I see, for example, on number 5. You'll want to make sure that when this problem is translated, you realize that when you divide by a negative number, your symbol has to change direction. So when we divide and we get 15, notice our symbol was less than, and now it switches to greater than. However, on number 7, if you translate it literally the way the problem says, it says 6, negative 6, so we have that, is at least, remember the phrase at least means greater than or equal to. That's kind of a confusing one. You would think at least would be less than, but it's not. It's greater than or equal to. And then a number divided by negative 9 would be x divided by negative 9. So I've multiplied both sides by negative 9, and when you do that, when you multiply by a negative, your symbol changes direction. So see how here it was greater than or equal to, and now it's less than or equal to. However, you know when we graph, we like for our variable to be on the left side. So over here I put a note that said flip twice. We're flipping here for mathematical reasons because we divided by a negative, but then, or excuse me, multiplied by a negative, but this part is what we call our spatula method, where you take the whole inequality and you flip it over so that your problem is in the right direction, in the right order, so that you can shade properly. And you know what? I think I see a mistake on this. I believe right here, see how that's a greater than? So I would have missed this one. That shade needs to go to the right instead of to the left. So I'll fix that on our answer key that will be hanging outside my door. All right, if we go down to the next one here, remember number 9 was an omit, and again, mainly to get the answers, but looking at, we had 2 inequalities that needed to be graphed. This one is just a square root problem. Guys, remember on the calculator, square root, you press the blue second key, and then the x squared, that will get you square root, and then of course we finish up with division. And then we have 2 graphs. Let me make sure I did my graphs right on this one. I've got a less than symbol that doesn't flip, so our shade is to the left. Absolute value here, the absolute value of negative 7, remember, is positive 7. There's still a subtraction sign, so when we do the opposite, we add, and then it would be greater than 15, and so that one's correct. All right, on the back side of your worksheet, I circled the words in these problems so that it would kind of clarify for you whether it was an inequality or an equation. For this one, it's an inequality, so when you do your translating, Mary's got $125. That's her equals part. She's going to take the 90 for her trip plus the amount she's going to spend at shopping. That amount has to be less than or equal to 125. Likewise on this one, Robin's got 108 signatures. Or she needs 108 signatures. She's got 27 so far. So x plus 27, that's an equation. Another equation down here, it says the distance in miles from the airport that an airplane should begin descending, that amount, that's what we don't know, so that's x, divided by 3, so that's where you get this piece. And then, of course, you multiply to get your answer. All right, down at the bottom. These are the problems that seem to be giving a lot of people trouble. They're pretty complex, so you'll want to make sure you practice these. Maybe even if you're doing your review, you can rewrite these problems on a separate sheet of paper and try working them out again, because here you've got an answer key. I know some people think that it would be pointless to work out the same problems over and over again, but it's actually very good practice because it helps you understand the process. Then when the numbers change, you're so comfortable with the process, it goes very well. Again, absolute value, be careful, that means make the value of the answer positive. That doesn't mean go through and change that minus and that negative to positive. It means work the problem out, and then if the value inside the absolute value is negative, change it to a positive. However, these sneaky little negative signs on the outside usually end up changing it back to negative. Remember our silly riddle that we made up in class today for classifying numbers that we need to know? That's our stair-step problems. Our naturals, wholes, integers, rationals, and then our decimals or our irrational numbers. I think our silly riddle was never wear itchy raincoats, which is totally senseless, but it helps us remember the order of all of our terms, and you're welcome to write that on the test when you receive it tomorrow. So that's your review. Please study. Remember, the best way to study for a math test is to try to teach someone else how to do the problems or working the problems out again. If you read over the review paper for a while, maybe for 30 minutes or an hour or so, you've only improved on your reading skills. You haven't helped your math. So make sure that you're working out the problems. Good luck, guys. I'm really proud of you. We've done a great, great job so far this year.